What's going on? It's your boy Chris Wallace. I'm here with Nam Jonez, and thank you for being here and available for this interview that's brought to you by the Hype Magazine. How you doing today, brother?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great myself. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. Just happy to be alive.
Absolutely.
And here with you.
Man, I'm so honored to be here, and just blessed. Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's get into it. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
I'm Nam Jonez. I am an artist, more R&B, soul artist. I'm from Washington D.C. area. Grew up all over the East Coast shore, so that's where that's why I really feel like I'm from. I'm a transplant of many places. So I lived in many places, so it's hard to say where are you really truly from, but DC is home for me. So yeah.
All right, so let's talk about growing up in many places. DC, Florida, Pennsylvania. What's your favorite?
My favorite is DC.
Okay.
DC is home. DC, the food, the chicken and mumble sauce. The go-go music, it's no place like DC.
Yeah, I mean, DC is a real melting pot of cultures in the District of Columbia. What do you think is the toughest part about growing up in DC?
The toughest part growing up there was, I really wouldn't say it was the tough part. I would say it was all a learning experience.
Okay.
So I really wouldn't say it was tough. I would say it was a learning experience. So everything that was bad, as some people would call it, was still a learning experience for me. So I'm glad that these things happened. But of course, there's a lot of shootings and killings and gang violence there, as it is in any other city that you can think of. But DC has its own rich history, but and that really what brought DC to where it's at right now. So now it's way better than where it was, but back then I still feel like it was still great. Like I enjoyed myself, and I actually missed those days of being back then. So it's a tough city to live in, but also it's the nation's capital.
Talk about them homecomings at Howard, though.
HU, man, the homecomings at Howard, like, there's nothing like it. My friends, we would get together, go to the tailgate party. Shout out to all my friends. We would go to the tailgate party and really just enjoy ourselves. We would go to the Yard Fest on the campus, and that's why I seen a lot of entertainers. Just so many entertainers. They used to have everybody coming out at Yard Fest, so everybody would come. Even if don't matter what school you went to, you're going to be at HU's homecoming.
I know that's right, because I was there many years too. I mean, okay, so yeah, the fried chicken, the mumbo sauce, go-go music. Yeah, why don't you explain to the people about the sweet feet, beating your feet, go-go music, that whole scene, and how that shaped your musical opinion?
Yes, that shaped my musical opinion because no one else really understood go-go. It seemed outside of DC. A lot of people, they have their own genres of music that they like, but it's nothing like go-go music. I'm not a go-go artist, however, I understand and respect it so much. I love Backyard Band, I love TCB, CCB, the New Crews. I love all the go-go music. So I ride around LA blasting go-go music sometimes. Like I'm blasting, beat my feet. Some people don't know what that is, but that's like a dance that is from it's DC, beating your feet. Like you do your funky dance. But there's no place like it. And the mumble sauce is like you have to have the mumble sauce with your chicken. Like you got it. That's what I miss. Like right now, and I live in LA, so I always say to my friends, I miss DC because we don't have like the corner store where you can get your fried chicken and salt and pepper and mumble sauce on it. Like I really miss that.
Yeah, it's no bodegas, it's no corner store.
No carryouts.
Yeah.
No carryouts.
Yeah, no chicken
shacks. Right.
Yeah.
What a carryout.
Yeah, none of that. No chopped cheeses. No nothing like that out here in LA.
Okay.
pause it.
Yeah. I mean, it's still roll. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, the conference room?
Yeah. Yeah, you're okay. Sorry.
No problem.
Can I put a little curry?
Hope I ain't gonna be too loud, but I'm just talking.
It's okay. I have my...
Oh, great. Thank you.
Still rolling. Okay. Wait, what was we talking about?
We're talking about DC and go-go music, and I was mentioning the fried chicken and a mumble sauce on the chicken, the salt and pepper.
Oh yeah.
Then you was about to go to something else.
Oh yeah, I had finished that thought,
Yeah.
didn't I? Okay, so wait. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so DC, go-go music, salt and pepper chicken with the sweet and hot mambo sauce.
Man.
Yeah, I know I'm making you hungry right now.
You
I'm making
are.
myself hungry. Why don't you talk about that Florida experience though?
Yeah, the Florida experience was something great as well. Growing up in Florida, my grandparents were like migrant workers, so they would pick watermelons and oranges and travel. That's why we traveled up and down the East Coast, is because we would go from Florida to picking apples in Pennsylvania. So, that's what we did most of our childhood, growing up with my grandparents and my father. But the Florida experience was great. The music is so soulful down there, and not only the music, it's the food that's soulful, you know?
Right.
Grandmother gonna pack some pounds on you, that's what she's gonna say.
Right.
She's gonna put those pounds on you. And then you're gonna eat the weirdest food. Like,
Okay.
have you ever had like muskrat?
No.
So
I know people that eat muskrat though.
so I didn't want to eat it. So my grandmother would cook it, and she wouldn't tell me what it was.
Right.
And then she would say, "Just eat it, baby. Just eat it. Just try it out." And so everybody in my family called me the city boy, so they knew that I wasn't going to do it if I knew what it was.
Right.
So I tasted it and was like, "Okay, it tastes like chicken." And then after I get done, one of my uncles would say, "It's muskrat." And at the time, I didn't even know what muskrat was. So I Googled it, and then I was like, "Ugh." But yeah, so much fun. But it's a lot of experience in Florida. Florida is also like no other place. Very warm state, the Sunshine State, as we all know it. But Florida has a lot of soul in it.
Okay, so let's expose a little light to the migrant workers' plight. Growing up, picking that stuff. Now, were you just traveling with them, or were you working from KC to KC as well?
So I was traveling mainly because as a young child I was traveling with my father. Now he was into it. My uncles and my father was really into it, and my grandparents owned the plants.
Okay.
And so they were traveling a lot, going up and down the coast, but like owning the trucks and managing the workers. So
Okay.
But I was really just traveling with my parents. But once I got a little older, about my preteens and teens, I started to pick the watermelons and try to load them. And I've always was trying, but it was always heavy. And you have to move at a rapid pace to load them onto the tractor trailers. So I was always involved into that life of, especially being in a tractor trailer. Also, because my dad is a truck driver. Still to this moment, he's a truck driver.
Yeah. Working, not busting them, watching out for rattlesnakes.
Watching out for rattlesnakes. We learned a lot about that growing up.
Yeah.
But in my head, I still knew that I was a city boy. I knew that wasn't for me. That wasn't my life. I remember growing up, I was like, this is not my life. But I'm here with my family and I enjoy it.
How do you think moving back and forth, up and down the coast, shape your, hindsight being 2020, looking back, how do you think that moving up and down the coast shaped your views about life, interacting with people, and forming bonds and relationships?
Yes, that's a good question. It really shaped my life because it was hard to get to know people because I was traveling so much and you couldn't stay in a certain place for too long. So I would travel one place and get to know people, and it was time to leave again. And it made me so sad. That's why even when I graduated high school, I was like, I'm going to move back to DC, and I'm not leaving for a long time. And that's what I did, because I wanted to establish great friendships, and that's exactly what I did. I just moved back, and I wanted to establish great friendships. Even though I do have great friendships from like Florida and also Pennsylvania, where I went to school at. So I do have great friendships from those places, but I really wanted to get like really family like oriented brotherhood friendships that was created in DC.
Okay, and I know you come from a gospel singing background.
Yeah.
What type of church did you grow up in? Pentecostal, AME, Baptist?
Pentecostal. Shout out to the Temple of Praise in Southeast DC. That's what they call it with Bishop Glenn A. Staples. That was my church back at home. But Pentecostal, I'm telling you, we're going to go crazy. We're going to go buck wild. We're going to do the temple buck. That's what they call it, the temple buck. You're going to get the temple buck. You're going to see my mom doing the temple buck. You're going to see me doing the temple buck. It's just going to be a good time. But I was certainly a Pentecostal kid.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, traveling, Pentecostal, it just all makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
So, growing up, what era of music did you grow up in?
Well, I grew up really in the 90s era of music. And that's the music that I truly love, the 90s era music. Isn't that a good 90s era?
Oh, yeah.
That's nothing like it, right?
The golden age.
The golden age, man. Like, I grew up in the 90s era of music, like the Boyz II Men, the Brian McKnights, just everybody. I could go on and on, but the 90s era music was so good. Michael Jackson's, well, of course he goes before that, but
right.
I really love the 90s music. It's really, you could hear a lot of my vocal tone from the 90s era of music.
Now, when we talk about, Michael Jackson, arguably the greatest of all time, but, Thriller was bad, but he was in his bag in remembering time.
Yes. Man, nobody like him.
Nobody. Shout out Michael Jackson.
Shout out to MJ.
How does your family take to you, quote unquote, doing secular music?
My family is not your ordinary family.
Right.
So of course they're from the church, but they are okay with me doing secular music. They don't mind it at all. They want me to be happy. They want to see me happy, being happy in any way necessary, whatever happiness means. But I also always say, your mom and dad did not make you with gospel music.
Oh, I know that's right.
You know what I'm saying? And then I was like, my mom, when we grew up, she was cleaning. She wasn't listening to like a lot of gospel music. She was listening to, some old school Marvin Gaye.
Right.
So that's what, and she listened to gospel music a lot, but she would listen to like Marvin Gaye and the old school, Teddy Pendergrass and, just anybody, Aretha Franklin, then she might slap on the Sheards.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? The Clark sisters, the Luther Barnes.
Right.
Do you know Luther Barnes?
Right.
Like, listen, I got heaven on my mind. So that was my song back then.
Right. I can't sing, so I ain't gonna do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so she would slap on anything, and so that's where I got my musical influence. But they don't mind the music where I'm doing today. They understand that this is my passion. They understand that I have a story, and they understand that I'm telling it.
Were you doing talent shows and stuff in school?
I did do a lot. I did. Bring me back. You brought me back just a moment right there. I just had to think. I was like, wow, I did do talent shows in school. And that actually helped shape me with performing. And because I wasn't probably the best, but I just, in my head, I thought I was, but I know I wasn't. Now I look at those videos that my dad has, I'm like, oh my goodness, don't show them to anybody.
You know they coming.
Oh my goodness, they're coming. I know it is.
So, do you remember your first time when you had to do a solo?
In church.
Yeah.
I think most people's solos probably in church. That's when you get your chance to shine, and that's when everybody's going to make you feel good. That's when your grandmother's going to be standing up there if no one else is standing up saying, "You better sing, baby."
Oh, that's when you know you can sing, if they clapping for you in church.
Or sometimes not necessarily.
Oh, y'all had one of them fun-loving churches. I grew up in the church that they was brutal.
Not necessarily. Sometimes you say you better sing, baby, and you know sometimes you better sing, or you know if you heard somebody say, "Take your time." You kind of don't want to hear that. You kind of don't want to hear "take your time" because "take your time" might mean not a good thing. But sometimes "take your time" could mean a good thing. But you have to,
depending upon the church.
It depends on the church.
Right, in knowing the congregation.
Absolutely.
Okay, so growing up, you grew up some in D.C., Pennsylvania, Florida, graduated in Florida, went back to D.C. How did you end up in L.A.?
During the pandemic.
Okay. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, it's the pandemic's fault, which is a good thing. Well, the pandemic wasn't a good thing, but
right.
It depends how you view life. It depends on how you all take the pandemic in, you know. But the pandemic is why I moved to LA. I was working my normal 9-to-5 job in DC. I was an office manager job in DC, and so I had a great job, and I just one day I just quit because I said, well, it was during the pandemic. Let me rewind a little bit. It was during the pandemic, and I had a lot of alone time. And during the pandemic, as we all know, we had a lot of alone time. And I said to myself, what am I doing here? Am I making my dreams happy? Am I being happy? Am I happy? And the answer was no. So then I had to figure out what I had to do to become that. And I remember how I felt when I visited LA and how that made me feel. And I said, LA would make me happy. So, and I was like, I can be around other people like me, other creatives like me, other songwriters who can actually help me be better. So I wanted to do that. And I was like, I can be around other engineers and producers that's also motivated to do what I do. So I moved here. And so that made me happy, and that's why I moved to LA. That's how I got that transition. That's how that transition was made.
Not to say that you were unhappy in DC, but it was just more, March is still kind of cold up there in DC.
Well, the weather.
Yeah.
The weather is a big advantage in Los Angeles. The weather
Let's talk about it.
Talk about the weather. Let's talk about the weather. The weather is great. I always call my mom when it's 30 degrees to make her upset when it's like 80 or 90 here. And shout out to my mom, but she's not come to visit me yet. I'm sad. But she can stay over there in the 30-degree weather. Now I only visit, well, I try to visit like during the Christmas holiday, but I only visit when it's warm in DC. So I go back to DC next month, but I try to visit when it's warm, but when it's the weather in LA is awesome, and that's really inspired me to move to LA as well, is the weather. And let me tell you about the LA views.
Yeah.
The LA views is crazy. Like the mountain views, the skylines. So I was riding with my friends, and my friends were talking about, this is the hood. And I was like, the hood where? Like, there's palm trees all lined up down the street. That don't look like a hood to me. Not the hood that I come from. So that was new to me. But so that's something else. The view even in the hood is beautiful. They even have the mountain scenery. It's like very scenic.
Yeah.
In the hood, and you're like, this the hood over here? They're like, yeah, this the hood. I'm like, oh, it doesn't look like it to me. If you didn't tell me it was, I would never know.
Right. Because looks can be very deceiving.
Very.
But some people, they don't realize, their spheres of influence if they've never really been outside it. A lot of people take mountains for granted. Where it's like, you look at the hills, man. Texas ain't got one hill as big as that where I'm from.
Wow.
So it's like, taking advantage and looking at the scenery out here. It's just like, oh my goodness.
It is, and I take it in as much as I can because I just love it. I was riding to Riverside one day, and I don't know if you've ever been to Riverside,
Yeah.
but you see all the mountains. And also, I drove to San Diego. You see like all the mountains, and it's just so beautiful. And I'm one who takes that stuff in because I'm like, I love that type of atmosphere and the water and the mountains and the green grass.
Yeah.
I love that type of thing. So, but that's what I enjoy about living here.
It's nothing like cruising down I-5 or the Pacific Coast Highway,
Nothing like it.
especially when the sun about to set.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll make you definitely want to pack up and move here.
Yes.
And want to see that every day.
Every day.
So, growing up in what we consider the golden age of hip hop and R&B, who do you think inspires you the most when it comes to your musical style?
When it comes to my musical style, I believe a lot of gospel artists inspired me the most, and there's various gospel artists, but inspired me the most in the R&B realm, in the golden age. I would say it was Boyz II Men, because I was trying to sound like Boyz II Men for so long, and also like Brian McKnight, like really great vocalists. Like people that was like really great tone, really great vocal, really great lyrics, and you can feel what they were saying. So those people really inspired me the most in the golden age. But I wanted to say, who inspires me the most is my own family and friends. My family and friends are the most talented people I know. My aunts, my uncles, like my friends, they're like the most talented people I know. Shout out to my aunt Lena and my aunt Nikki. They're like golden voices, and when I was younger, I remember looking at them and saying like, how do they sing like that? My grandfather used to be at the piano, and he says, let's sing, girls. And I used to look at them, and my uncles playing the drums, and everybody was just so involved and into it. And I was a kid, and I was looking up to them like, wow, I want to do that. And one of my first songs I sung was Victory Is Mine. And I used to say, victory is mine, victory is mine, victory today is mine. And I used to sing that, but I used to sing it as a little kid in
Right.
the corner, and I used to whisper it because I was like, I try to figure out how to align the words and how to say it, but it still sound good. So I used to practice, and then one day my aunt came to me and was like, come sing with us. And I was so afraid because I was like, they were like my idols. But yeah, so a lot of my inspiration comes from my family and friends.
So do you think we're ever going to get a family and friends collab EP from you?
That's a great question. Absolutely. I reached out to my aunt. We've been speaking. She's her own artist. Her name's Michelle Brown. She's actually a first lady of a church.
Okay.
But we can make it happen. She always reached out to me, and she was like, I'm so proud of you. Keep doing your thing. It doesn't matter what music I'm doing. They just want to see me happy, as I mentioned. And she's just so proud of me, and I'm just so proud to make my family proud, and these people that were my idols growing up, my own family members, to make them proud, and for them to give me a congratulatory, praise on the success that I'm having. So we will have something coming up. I'm going to work on a Christmas album, and that might be a great time to bring my family in.
No, that sounds real dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so who do you say would inspire you when it comes to the songwriting aspect?
Songwriting aspect, there's so many people that inspire me with songwriting aspects because there's so many songwriters. So, of course, from the 90s era of songwriting, I would say you know, I keep going to Brian McKnight because he just was like such a phenomenal artist all around. But I also have to go to Babyface. You have to go to Babyface because Babyface is Babyface.
Yeah.
And there's no other person like Babyface.
He penned a lot of people's stuff.
He's penned so much stuff. Like, yeah, have you ever researched Babyface and you're like, wait a minute, you did that? And that? And then how did you even get out of that lane to do that? So Babyface is like the guy that I would love to work with. And he is my inspiration for songwriting. But there's so many more songwriters that I could mention throughout my years. But as of recently, I love Jasmine Sullivan. She's a dope writer, and I would love, love, love to work with her. Shout out to Jasmine.
Okay. Yeah, shout out Jasmine Sullivan. You know, the Grammys and stuff she won.
Congratulations on her Grammy. You know, that's a big deal. She's been doing it for a very long time. Shout out to Philly. Yeah, she's been doing it for a very long time, and that's a big deal. So congratulations on her Grammys.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the pandemic happens.
Yes.
Now moves to LA.
Man.
Struggling like we all do. But then something beautiful happens. Talk about seeing your name on the Billboard charts.
Man, it was amazing. Seeing my name on the Billboard charts actually was a real moment. A moment when I was a kid, I dreamed about seeing my name in different places, and that was one of them that I seen my name. I just was like so shocked, and to see my name between the great Drake and the great Aaliyah, and I am the in between both of those greats. Like, that was an amazing moment for me, and so I will never forget that. And to see I have a plaque now, something that you dream of, it just inspires you to do better, to be better, to give better, to create more music, to create better music. Because it's like, okay, I hit here, what's next? So that's what I keep asking myself.
Do you think that adds pressure to yourself?
Absolutely. To myself, it certainly adds pressure to myself. But then again, I just think, just be yourself. Keep doing what you're doing, writing real, true music, relatable music. And it could easily happen again and again, because as long as you're relating to people, as I did when I wrote Complicated, which is the Billboard charting song, I wrote Complicated. Well, Complicated is available at music stores everywhere, on iTunes, Spotify, Tidal, wherever you got music, Complicated is there. But when I wrote Complicated, I wrote it in a pure place. I wrote it in a place where I wanted to see what everybody could relate to, and I dug deep down inside and say, people can relate to being complicated. Relationships are complicated, whether it be with your family, with your friends, your co-workers, whoever it is. It can be a complicated situation. You know, in my lyrics, I said, I hate you, but I love you. Right. It gets complicated. It's like, what does that mean? You know? So that means I have this love-hate for you. You know, you ever heard people say that? And I watch some movies, and it's like, I have this love-hate relationship. So that's where I got it from.
What do you think the most humbling aspect about moving to LA from DC was?
The most humbling aspect for moving from LA to DC was moving from LA to DC.
Talk about
from DC to LA, excuse me.
Right.
Yeah. That was the most humbling, because I didn't know any. Back home, I know so many people.
Okay.
Here, I didn't know anyone, and here you're just a fish in the pond, because no one really knows who you are. No one cares who you are. So that will humble you really quick. Because at home, everybody supports you. Everybody's there for you. Everybody's coming to your events. Here, it's not that. So that will humble you real quick. So that I believe that was one of the biggest humbling experiences from moving from DC to LA.
What is your take to singing and songwriting?
Singing and songwriting. What do you mean?
Like your take, your approach.
So my approach to songwriting is writing poetry.
Okay.
I started writing poetry in the 7th grade, and I took that with me. So I started writing poetry, and my teacher, Miss Jonez at the time, was like, you should put your anger or your frustrations into a poem. And that's exactly what I did. And then I learned that I could turn that poem into a song. And that's also what I did. So that actually created my songwriting process. And I still utilize that method today. I still utilize that method it depends on the song, but I still utilize that method today. So that's my approach to it. But there's many approaches to different types of music. So sometimes I get a track from a producer and I can also flow with the track. So my lyrics will come out with the sound of the track. It's a feeling that you have. But the most, I actually experienced something last night here in LA with a vocal coach here I just recently met. It's being in a jam session and no one has any lyrics and even the instruments are just playing whatever coming to their heart. And in that, you will start creating a sound. Then you will start creating music. Then you will start creating lyrics. And then that will become a song. And to me, that is my favorite type of creation of music. It's the best feeling that I can ever feel.
What advice do you have for people that will want to follow your same path of moving to LA to follow their dreams?
Have faith. Faith without work is dead.
True.
But you should have faith. You should certainly have faith in what you're doing and who you are. And that would be my advice for them, to just have faith and just believe that you can do this. Speak over yourself. Speak to that situation. You can do it. You can be there. Don't let no one tell you you can't, because you truly can. Because that's what I do from day to day. Every day I'm speaking into myself, and that's what I do. So you should speak into yourself. Nobody can tell. People will try, but nobody can determine your future. Your future is already made for you. So regardless of what it is, no one can stop that. So people will try, but have faith.
What are some of the pitfalls that you have managed to avoid that you have seen others take? Because I'm pretty sure you've known some people that have came and gone in the 2 years since you've been here.
Yeah. Remain strong through it all. You have to remain strong through it all. Because there will be times where you want to give up. There will be times that you want to go home, but you have to stay focused on the prize. The prize could be, to me, your prize is your purpose. And you have to stay focused on that. And so that's when you stay focused on your purpose, nothing can get in your way. Nothing can get in your way because you have a purpose. If you have a purpose, you're going to push through all obstacles, regardless of what it is, to get to that purpose.
What do you think the most expensive lesson that you've learned here in LA is?
The most expensive lesson is always a good question. I would say the most expensive lesson is moving from DC to LA. That was the most expensive lesson, actually, but it was a lesson well achieved. Because if I did not do that, I would not be here before you. I would not have charted on Billboard, and I would have not took that faith. If I did not take that faith, all of this wouldn't be happening. So I had to take that step. So it was a very expensive step, but I had to take it. And sometimes giving up everything you have that's what it takes. Giving up everything you have. If it's your purpose, you will give up everything you have. And becoming stagnant at home will hinder you from achieving your purpose and your dreams.
So moving out here, following your dreams, understanding your purpose. What do you do to protect your mental health?
Man, to protect my mental health, I pray.
Okay.
I pray and I pray to protect my mental health. I really do. I pray and I just I zone in and really speak to my inner peace, because that's going to affect you, your outer peace, your inner peace. Like, so I speak to my inner peace. I like to go to the beach because whereas LA is a beachy area, you can go like for miles and miles and be on the beach.
Right.
And I like to walk the beach and really that really makes me feel good. It really, and I just at peace with the world, and so I really pray on everything and to affect my but also counseling does help, and I advise everybody to go to a therapist, because mental health is real in these times that we live in. And I've been I listen to a lot of Charlamagne the God on the Breakfast Club, and he's talking about mental health all the time. So he really encouraged me by listening to the Breakfast Club, because I listen to it every day.
Shout out to Charlamagne.
Shout out to Uncle Shala. Yeah, but I listen to the Breakfast Club all the time, every day to this moment. Even through school, I've been listening to the Breakfast Club for a long time. And he was speaking about mental health, and I was I think I need to act on that, and so I really have. So that actually is what I'm doing now, and I'm putting in the work.
Do you even find some healing in your music?
Absolutely. Lots of healing comes from my music, within my music, to my music. So it's a process. Great thing that I can talk about the things that it being complicated, because you go through certain relationships and it's complicated. So I can write it down and write it out and speak about it. I can write about I have a song called "I'm Better Off Without You." Better off without you, saying I'm better off. I've learned that I'm better off without you. So I wrote writing those things are what helps me with mental health, putting it out on paper, and putting it in song. So that really helps me, and I'm certain that it helps individuals. I have a young girl who always contact me and saying thank you so much for this song, and to me that's why I put out my music, and that's why I'm vulnerable in my music, because there's someone out there from Texas that I don't know that she's reaching out to me saying thank you so much for this song. It means so much. I listen to it every night, and just that alone makes it well worth it.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk about that. The fan feedback outside of your family. What type of feedback are you getting, especially from Complicated?
I'm getting great feedback from Complicated. Like I mentioned, I have people reaching out to me from all over the world. A lot of fans in Africa, parts of Africa I didn't even know existed, but they're there and they're listening to me, and also they're Shazamming my song. I don't know if you
Yeah.
I'm who's playing my song in Africa? Shout out to everybody over there. Listen, I want to come there and visit one day. I'm to the motherland. I'm certain I will one day. Actually, I want to work on I have an Afrobeat song that I want to work on. Shout out to any African artists who want to work, because hit me up. But yeah, I'm getting lots of feedback from it. People loving it. People, great production. They love the backgrounds. They love the harmonies. They love the transition. I actually wrote it to be complicated. So my engineer and we were talking. He's my vocal engineer, David, and we were talking, and he was I told him that I wanted to be complicated. Not the song just be complicated. I wanted the transitions to be complicated. I don't want it to be like your normal, typical song, So I wanted it to be complicated in that way, because it was complicated, and I wanted to create it to be complicated. So even the harmonies are all over here and up and down. So I wanted to make it very complex and complicated.
Okay, you mentioned vocal coach, vocal engineer a couple of times. why don't you explain the importance of having a vocal coach even at this level?
Beyonce has a vocal coach.
Right.
I'm just like,
Right.
you know. So, okay, vocal lessons is for people who don't know how to sing.
Okay.
Vocal coaching is for people that do know how to sing, that you still need to protect your voice and you need to strengthen your voice at certain areas. You need to learn it because it can your voice can get affected. And I don't know if you know, a lot of singers, like, you can't sing that high anymore. So you need that vocal coach to assist in your vocal health and or expand on what you already can do. It can open you up to new things. And a vocal engineer helps you in the studio. Like my engineer David and Idris, they really help me with vocals and attacking it in the studio, because it is a different beast in the studio than what you are live. Because I'm from the church, live I can do and I can get on that, like, perform live, but in the studio it was a little challenge for me because I wasn't used to that. And
right.
You do gotta, it's a different technique, because sometimes you gotta sing that same line over and over and over again. So, but that's when that vocal engineering comes from, but also that vocal coaching as well comes from as well. So you need to have a healthy voice to be able to do that over and over again, or else you will lose your voice.
What are some of the things that not to give away too much, but what are some of the things or techniques that that you use to protect your voice?
Certainly. So without giving away too much sauce, like you said, everybody knows that honey and tea is the go-to. So I really stick with that most of the time and drink plenty of fluids, water. You want to stay hydrated. I'm sure I have a water bottle somewhere near me now, as always, but you want to stay hydrated as much as possible. And honey and tea, everybody know, they've seen singers drinking honey and tea all the time, but I also use ginger.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you some sauce. I use ginger in my honey and tea, or I just use ginger. I mix ginger up, so that actually really opens you up and helps you open your vocal cords, because you really have to understand the inside. The vocal is just not about really, I mean, it is about what you hear, but it's about inside of you. What's inside of you? What are you eating? How are you being healthy? Are you exercising? Because your vocal cords is muscle. Right. So you have to strengthen that muscle. You have to train that muscle. So even I think about artists going on tour. To me, going on tour is the Olympics. Because you have to use that muscle every other night or every single night, So you have to, it's the vocal Olympics to me. So you got to know how to control it inside and outside.
Man, that's beautiful. Like you said, a lot of people who would aspire to be singers, they may not be aware of the little nuances in the industry, that just because a person have talent, that don't mean that it's gonna always transfer. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful that you're getting feedback from all over the world. I mean, we in the streaming age. How are you navigating the streaming services world?
So in the streaming age, it's very it's interesting because it's forever changing. So it's forever changing, and we really don't know what's happening next, but we're just putting out the music. Just put out the music and the people will find it. That's my motto. Just put it out, they will find it. So that's what I'm doing currently. I'm just putting it out and they will find it. And then, everybody's, chasing playlists and this and that, but I'm just chasing the people. So the people will find it.
Okay. Do you have any other passions besides music? You seem like it might be into fashion. Art.
I am into fashion. I love fashion. I love all things fashion. I want to get in fashion more, but I love fashion. I really am into fashion. I love going seeing designers, meeting different designers. So when I went to the Grammys award weekend, I was actually wearing a Washington D.C. designer.
Okay.
Yeah, I was wearing everything that I was wearing was a Washington D.C. designer. So it was really a good look and a good experience, and I love designers from all over the country, the world. But I've been really want to work with people that are from home.
Okay.
So yeah, shout out to Typo. So that's actually Typo is the designer's label. So I was wearing a Typo. So shout out to Typo. So it was really great.
Yeah, shout out to the home team.
Home team.
Gotta rock with it.
Absolutely.
How inspiring it was it as a new charting artist to go to the Grammys and see all of those people who have, gone and come this way before you. How inspiring was that?
Inspiring as inspired can get. I loved every minute. It was one of the greatest moments of my life. That weekend, the entire weekend was like so great. Meeting different people, networking, meeting different producers, songwriters, other artists, and just networking. I met so many people, and I have a feeling that we're going to be long-lasting friends after that. So I just met so many people, and it was just really a great experience to see your peers, and also your idols, people you look up to that you never think you'll get a chance to even sit next to or talk to, and they're there and just mingling like you are, and they're regular people, and it's like awesome. Yeah, so it's a great experience, and I can't wait to experience it again. Actually, I can't wait to be nominated one day.
Right, and yeah, we're putting that in the ether.
We're gonna nominate, and then we're gonna win.
Yeah,
Grammy Award coming to a theater near you.
Now I'm Jonez. Okay, so definite passion for music, definite passion for fashion. What other hidden type of talents do you have?
Yeah, I do have a little hidden talent now. I'm gonna tell you something. So I ran track in school.
Okay.
Yeah, I ran track in school, and I was pretty fast. They called me Rabbit. So I was like the rabbit of the school. So everybody called me Rabbit, and I was always fast. Every school that I went to, I was always fast. Like I went to quite a few schools.
Right.
Yeah, quite a few schools growing up, but I ran track, and I was pretty fast. I actually was inducted into the Track and Field Hall of Fame in my school. So that was very interesting, especially because there were like 80-some-year-olds that was also inducted, and then there was little old me, and I'm like, what is going on?
Right.
But I guess they had the talent in school, so that was another passion that I had. I wanted to go to the Olympics at one point, but music kept pulling me, so music didn't allow me to go there. But I'm glad that I made the decision that I made now.
Okay, and so a lot of people may not know the difference, but you're a singer-songwriter. Mm-hmm. You produce you write all your own material. What advice do you have for those other singer-songwriters out there who aspire to, even get to where you're at right now?
Absolutely. My advice to other singer-songwriters is to be yourself in the music, to be yourself in your lyric. And you can also write for others, but still be yourself in that. I don't want no one to not be themselves. I really want everybody to focus and hone on being themselves. There's nothing like being yourself. And that's all I can really say. I want to say, I want to go into a deeper thing and say, and really educate yourself in the music business. And that is something that you should do. That is something that you should do. Educate yourself in music business. Coming into being a singer-songwriter, because you got to know your splits. I don't know if you know what that is, yeah. But you have to know your splits. You have to know how much you're going to get paid. You have to know what ASCAP or BMI. You got to know what all these different things are, because they mean a lot to you, and they mean paychecks.
Okay. All right. So what do you have coming up next?
So I'm working on my single right now. well, a few things right now, but my single is really what I'm mainly focused on. I really want to produce a different single, a really passionate type of single. So I'm working on that, and that's going to be released on my birthday in August 20th to be exact. But I'm going to release it on August 19th on a Friday, but August 20th is like my birthday, so I'm gonna have a birthday celebration. I'm gonna have a release party. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I'm gonna have that here in LA, and everybody's invited. You know what I'm saying. Y'all gonna have to hit me up. Y'all invited. But yeah, so I'm gonna have that in LA, and I'm gonna have a live set, have a live band.
Okay.
And I'm gonna really do a show, a live set, so everybody can really experience the Nam Jones experience. So that's going to be exciting, and then I can introduce my new single live.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to do. So that's what's coming up next. But I'm also working on a Christmas album.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I would just want to say congratulations to all your recent success.
Thank you.
And I wish you many more. Why don't you tell the people where they can find you at?
You can find me at Nam Jones, NAMJONEZ, across all social media platforms. I believe on TikTok I'm nam.world though, but nam.world. But other social media platforms, I'm straight Nam Jones. You can Google it. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh yeah, it was my pleasure. I love meeting artists. I love interacting with them. Especially live singers. That's my passion. Getting in on the ground floor.
Absolutely.
And so, once again, shout out to the Hype Magazine.
Yeah.
I'm Christopher Wallace, like Biggie Smalls, but no relations. And this has been a wonderful interview with Nam Jones. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
We're out.